We're going to stand up here and say good morning and welcome and hello to you, but I'll probably be another one to say good morning. Let's have a rousing waking up and say good morning to each other around the table here.
Good morning!
Such a vibe, such a wonderful. This is along the process of coming to these meetings. This is the 22nd year that I've been coming to the PTA. We used to have that on I don't say that to you from the standpoint of complimenting myself for being here, because it's a joy and a pleasure to represent school boards that come out among you all who do such a wonderful job in their communities working with teachers and the school board and the school population. But the few things that need to be shared with you this morning, other than greetings, which is what this is all about, but some concepts need to be shared that maybe you can take to your sessions and back to your communities and think about what's going on in public education. One thing I think is very important is as you look at your program, you have 98 years as an association. 98 years. That is absolutely. At least for myself, I plan on being around if I'm invited back here for the 99th and the 100th year to help you celebrate your 100th year. I don't think that I'll be around for the School Boards Association's 100th year because they have 61 years in existence, and maybe a little challenging to make that schedule. But in that perspective, I do represent school boards. I have for a number of years. And this year, I want to brag about school boards in the state on this topic. We're having a fiscal constraint go on. It's very challenging times. But we now have 35 consecutive years of 100% membership of all the school boards in the state. They pay the dues to the association. And the reason I say that to you is because it's just like your organization. None of us can live in a vacuum. We can't do this alone. We have to be engaged and involved. And that's why we feel so good about the 1,684 school board members, the 290 school boards in this state, remaining a part of the School Boards Association and having us be given the opportunity to deliver information and data and facts to them in terms of how they govern schools in Indiana. Such an important vital ingredient from the standpoint of the local level. But you put all that in sort of a perspective and say, what are we all about? Well, we're all about one important thing together, and that is the youth and the children that we care so much about. How many of you in here are grandparents? I'll raise my hand. Yeah. Now, so I'm not going to do what I did at the regional meeting, but I may even do that too. Because you see, what we're really talking about is, we're talking about raising our children and then looking at our grandchildren and saying we want a better life than even we had or our children had. That's really what it's going to be all about as we begin to go forward. We are in momentous times. We're in these kind of times not because things are challenging for us to do, because they are so important to get done. Now, I mentioned a moment ago about the fiscal issues of Indiana. And Scott did a nice job of what the administration is striving to do, and that is to maintain instruction as a focus and to maintain the fact that what we're dealing with is teaching is a very vital part of what we're all about. Good morning, Dr. Bennett. Good morning. How you doing? Good. I assume you're going to be here next.
I'll be there.
No, you may want to, I'll start over so you can take notes. That's sort of dangerous. He's coming after me now, and I just set him up to say something that's going to be sort of pricey, I guess. Going back to where I was. In terms of the theme of what we're all about, we have fiscal times where we can make it through these fiscal times. If we keep our focus in the right way, and if parents and teachers, school boards and administrators, and those local communities out there in Indiana keep the eye on one thing, and that's the instruction of each individual child. The Department of Education has done something very wonderful in recent time here. They've moved in the direction of a growth model for each child. And that's going to help us focus on the skill sets of children. It's so important for us to do that. Now, some may disagree with me on this one, but I think we need to get away from labeling schools, labeling school corporations, and spend our energies on each individual child's skill sets and begin to focus on that as a concept of what we're trying to do in public education. And I think we can get further along with that than we have with some of the other things that have gone on in previous years. Now, I don't think there's any question that we're going to be moving into some debates on where public education is going to be going. But our common theme has got to be on the curriculum, whether or not the Common Core standards that the federal government is pushing become the right answer for what we need to do. At least from the standpoint that we can look at some structure, what we're trying to get done, and all get together in that phase of it. And I guess maybe from the standpoint of summarizing what this is really all about, we're all in it together. We're all in it for our future. And we can't do it alone. We have to do it with collaboration. We have to do it with insight, with discussion, with dialogue. And I think we're going to come out of this in wonderful shape as we begin to look at things that are going on at this conference and what other people are doing around the state. I believe we can get together and make this work even in the kind of times we're in right now. I want to thank you all for attending your conference. I wish you the best in having an enjoyable, enlightening, and informative time here. Thank you.